Hi, hello. Welcome to the episode of Isaiah's Newsstand. It's your host, Isaiah Edwards. The date is February the 17th, 2026. Hopefully this episode finds you well, in good spirits and high hopes. As for me, I'm doing pretty good. Happy Tuesday, everyone. Hopefully Tuesday treated you well. Hopefully it was a good day. As for mine, it was pretty good. A bit hectic, a little bit of motion going on, but we got through it. We waded through those waters. Let's see. We got up. We got ourselves together. Obviously, I'm still under the weather. I say obviously. I feel like I sound sick still. But I'm moving okay. I'm feeling almost all right. Like I slept moderately okay. I woke up in the middle of the night. I think it was a little bit too warm in my room, and just cut the heat. And I was like, I'm going back to sleep. I need this, and was able to luckily go back to sleep, which was good. Woke up okay. Got ourselves together, got to work on time. We love to see it. Also no problems. Also love that. But yeah, I did run into an issue early on in the day that they had me a little bit miffed. Is I wanted to request off some time. I was like, okay, let's use this new fancy work app that we have. And sure enough, I go on there and it's just not working. So I go, okay, maybe I'm just not doing this right. I feel like I paid attention at the meeting. I thought I understood this, but okay, whatever. I guess I'm dumb. So I go to my lead and I ask them about it. And they go, essentially they didn't know. They really weren't able to really help me. We even asked another coworker who said they have it working on their phone. And essentially their excuse for like not knowing how to do it on mine was like, well, you're on Android and I have an iPhone. I'm like, okay, yeah, whatever. Awesome. Love that. So the solution was supposed to be, go ahead and go to the supervisor, talk to them, and, she'll be able to get you sorted out. I'm like, all right, cool. Awesome. Go over to my supervisor. We, bust open the app. Of course, it's not working because I don't have any like signal over where the supervisor's desk is at. I'm like, great, this is awesome. I'm just sitting here with my phone in my hand. This feels great. Supervisor goes, actually, we can just walk over here. We'll try to another part of the warehouse. And so we mosey over a couple paces. It works a little bit, but he does not know how to work it. That's what I figure out. My supervisor doesn't know as much as I don't know. And essentially the solution we come across is, well, hopefully by Thursday, this will be somewhat resolved. And I'm like, bro, I heard this shit last week. I'm like, I'm getting trolled here. And I'm like, whatever, let's just see come Thursday. But I will say, not to like freak out or be mad or mauled about it. My supervisor did say, hey, just what day is it? I told him, like, okay, you should be fine. We should be able to get you worked out. I'm like, awesome, cool. But it's just frustrating because I hate when, like, you're supposed to get this newfangled technology and it's supposed to fucking work. And it's not working, dude. Like, this shit is just an annoying waste of time. Like, that to me is the worst part. I don't mind change like this. It's being forced on us. You gotta get used to it. But it sucks that it's just not fucking working, dude. That's so irksome to me. Anyway. We get through that. I feel like most of the day is kind of yada service, but we did have a Black History Month lunch today, which, I mean, hey, in these trying times was kind of surprising. I actually heard, this is a bit of a work tea, that one of the, I believe, supervisors actually fought pretty hard to keep it because it was one of the things that people were kind of thinking, maybe we should phase this out. Maybe it might be a good budget thing. You could use that excuse. And we've been cutting a lot of here and there for the food because, just give them a little bit of popcorn. That'll be fine. Has been the mantra over the past year or so. So anyway, with everything going on, I was kind of surprised that we were going to have this. And I was like, okay, hell yeah, let's fucking go. So let me run down the spread as best I can. I have a picture up here because, I be taking pics. I be snapping little flicks. Dude, every once in a while, someone will tease me about that, by the way, because I'm 35 years old and I'm over here trying to get decent shots for my goddamn my Snapchat, my little Instagram story. Yes, just let me do my thing. Anyway, so here's the spread. I'm gonna do my best here. We got a salad, which I put some Italian dressing on. Got some rice and beans. Got some collard greens. Got some chopped, and I'm not sure if it's chopped or cubed chicken. Also had some brisket. You also could like have bread buns. I had one, and you could have two. I was like, I want the one. Had some fried okra. We had like three kinds of potatoes here. We got potato salad, sweet potato souffle, and red skin potatoes. Then there was some macaroni and cheese, and some cornbread, and then they also had sweet and spicy chicken wings. So that was pretty much everything. And then with the chicken and the brisket, you could have this spicy or sweet sauce. Now my rating of this was very good, actually. Pretty good to very good. I'll give it to it. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I believe the barbecue is catered by Midwest Barbecue, which I think is kind of a usual thing. I'm not sure, but yeah, I thought it was yummy. I thought it was good. I enjoyed the meal. I ate it all up. Now I talked to a coworker after the fact, one of the maintenance guys, and I was like, hey, what did you think about it? And they said, it was kind of mid. It was like, nah, I liked a little bit of this, I liked a little bit of that, but overall, I kind of thought it was meh. And I thought that was very funny because this same coworker before, like at the top of the day, I came into it kind of cold, like, yeah, it's a a meal, but like I knew the first one that we had was kind of a bit hectic and it was all right. And then I kind of, after my coworker says this, I was like, oh, I guess it did improve. Because he's like, yeah, this is my second favorite meal of the year. He was so excited. So he was really hype initially. He's like, yeah, these are almost always good. And I'm like, yeah, I guess now that you say that, you're right. But then after the fact, he was like, yeah, that was cold. It wasn't that good. I will agree with him, though. The mac and cheese was a little bit just there. But I thought everything else was pretty good. My rice and beans was warm. I wasn't complaining. I don't know. I enjoyed it. So that was my rating. That was a bit of a passerby rating. You can take it as you like. And I'll say it. I also have a pig's sensibility, a little bit of a hog-like palate. As long as there's no water chestnuts in my shit, I'm generally hyped to eat it. So yeah, I mean, you can ask around. Anyway, after work, because like I said, the rest of the shit's just kind of yada. We go to the gym. Now, the gym, it was hectic. I feel like I did a really bad description of my gym activities yesterday, so we're not going to really get into too much of the description. I kind of bounced around. I will say I did get the Smith machine. I did get some free weights, so I got like pretty much all my staples, sans some filler. But even with the free weights, I didn't get everything I wanted and missed a little bit here and there. I just wound up not having as much time, and there was a lot of people around, and I've noticed that my anxiety's a little bit further up, and I know that shouldn't affect me, but it just winds up affecting me. And sometimes I'll skip things or just kind of want to be done with things. Long story short, I wound up getting out of the gym another 30 minutes early again. And I mean, I'm okay with it. I felt like a solid pump, felt like a solid workout, so it's all good. But, I'm hoping that as people thin out in the gym and I can kind of get more space. I think that just feels better to kind of work out in and do my thing. But yeah, overall, good pump. I'm not complaining. So we come home, we get our stretch in, we get our snack in. We're doing some research because we actually have a lot to yap about. I'm trying to condense my blog, my yap time, so that we can just kind of get into the news. But let me tell you, I did get my last package for like this installment of cards that I ordered. So I did a little bit of nerd stuff for, I don't know, about like 10, 15 minutes or so. I don't know, maybe a little longer. I don't know. I lost some time. So that's why this episode's getting posted a little bit later than I'd like. But that's okay. Mea culpa. So it goes. But yeah, that was the day. It's been a good day, especially very good for a sick day. I want to hope and be optimistic and manifest that I start feeling really good, getting closer to normal sooner than later. So we're knocking on wood for that. But I never underestimate a cold. I will take one that is not as like debilitating as some of my worst ones. Some of the ones from my memory, my trauma. But this one doesn't seem so bad, so we're rocking with it. We're rolling with it. But yeah, let's go ahead and do our startup, and let's get into some news. I will say it's starting to warm up a little bit. I don't know if this is like a fall spring scenario. I made the bonehead decision yesterday to just wear like a hoodie, no extra layers or anything. Cause like I saw 50 something and I'm like, yeah, that'll feel nice. And mind you, it did not feel 50 in the warehouse. It didn't get to 50 till like the afternoon. So I was freezing all yesterday. So this day I wore like a little bit of my fleece over my hoodie. Bit of a smarter call. That outfit, that styling worked out, But yeah, I mean, I'm hoping it's a little bit warmer. I'm sick of being in the 30s for sure, man. I'm over this shit. I'm done being cold. I will say we're sipping on some Gatorade, getting those electrolytes. All right, from CNN. Authorities say 6 backcountry skiers found alive and 10 missing after a Northern California avalanche. Authorities say 6 backcountry skiers were found alive and 10 others were still missing Tuesday in an avalanche in Northern California during a powerful winter storm moving through the state. Search and rescue crews were dispatched to the Castle Park area, northwest of Lake Tahoe, after someone called 911 to report an avalanche with people buried. Authorities combed the area of Castle Peak, which is northwest of Lake Tahoe. The Nevada County Sheriff's Office received a 911 call at about 11:30 a.m., reporting an avalanche with people buried, said Ashley Quadros, a department spokesperson. The sheriff's office, the sheriff's search and rescue team, and a crew with the California Department of Forestry and Fire Protection responded to the area of Castle Peak, which is northwest of Lake Tahoe, Quadros said. California is being walloped this week by a powerful winter storm carrying treacherous thunderstorms, high winds, and heavy snow in mountain areas. Now, there's more details here, but I just, for the sake of time, we're just gonna, kind of careen past them. I did want to hit this highlight, though. In January, an avalanche in the region buried a snowmobiler in snow and killed him, authorities said. Each winter, 25 to 30 people die in avalanches in the U.S., according to the National Avalanche Center. So there you go. The more you know. All right. Now we're zigging and we're zagging. We went from Northern California. We're going to good old Fairfield, Ohio. A bit of a local beat here. And actually, shout out to a homie. Shout out to a Jim Bro newsie. Okay. Thank you for putting me on this story. I was like, wait, what do you like once I realized like, oh, this is a local story, I was like, I gotta have it. Thank you. So, shout out to them. From WLWT5, the 1 killed, 2 injured after fire explosion at food processing plant in Butler County. The body of an employee at the Koch Foods plant in Fairfield has been recovered after it was initially unaccounted for following a large fire that sparked fears of a possible toxic gas leak at the facility early Sunday morning. On Monday, the fire department confirmed the previously unaccounted for employee had been recovered late Sunday afternoon in an area of the building that had heavy damage, near where the building partially collapsed. The employee was taken to the Butler County coroner to be identified. Tuesday, the coroner's office identified the employee as Griffin Darrow, 25. The coroner ruled smoke inhalation was likely the cause of death. Firefighters remain on scene overnight with 2 crews on duty for fire watch. They are monitoring the scene with a drone to watch for ammonia leaks and to check for hot spots. Now, I know that at one point they did have a shelter-in-place order because of the whole ammonia situation. It looks like that shelter-in-place was lifted, so that's good. But yes, definitely a very scary, very tense situation, and obviously very sad that someone passed away because of it. Someone died because of it. But like literally looking at it, it looks very intense. Just as like a thumbnail of it, it looks like someone just meteor strike the fucking food plant. Like, I guess it's just how the collapse, happened, but very intense, very sad. Yeah, we're gonna, hit the mic. We're gonna move on, to ABC News. Man armed with shotgun ran toward Capitol, apprehended by police. An 18-year-old man was apprehended after running toward the U.S. Capitol with a loaded shotgun, according to the U.S. Capitol Police. Just after noon on Tuesday, the man parked a white Mercedes SUV, got out of the car, and started running toward the Washington, D.C. building. Capitol Police Chief Michael Sullivan said at a news conference. The suspect was later identified as Carter Camacho of Smyrna, Georgia, according to Capitol Police. As he approached the building, officers with the Capitol Police saw him and ordered him to drop the weapon, the chief said. He immediately complied, Sullivan said, adding that the man put down the gun, got on the ground, and was then taken into custody. Camacho had additional rounds with him, as well as a tactical vest and tactical gloves, according to Sullivan. A Kevlar helmet and gas mask were found in his car, he added. Who knows what could have happened if the officers were not standing guard, Sullivan said. We don't know of a motive, and Camacho was arrested for unlawful activities, carrying a rifle without a license, unregistered firearm, and unregistered ammunition, Capitol Police said in a news release. Attorney information was not immediately available. I don't know. I would love to hear a motive. I don't want to speculate or anything like that. This is very weird. I don't know how you're driving around. I'd have to assume it would be maybe your parents' SUV, your Mercedes, and you're just like, yeah, I'm gonna do something crazy today. I don't know, man. Any kind of just, hey, man, I'm just gonna do some impulsive violence. I'm sorry, you're not going to get me here. I don't understand it. What was the point? What was going to be accomplished? Maybe we'll get some kind of crumb of information from Camacho or something like that in a trial situation. If this gets that kind of buzz, I don't know. Probably not. But I don't know. Strange, odd. But I felt like, hey, we gotta cover that beat. We gotta hit that. Anyway, let's talk politics. Let's get to the Trump verse. Look, man. A lot of fucking DHS, fucking all this shit, man. I don't love talking about this, but I don't know, man. The girls are moving. The girls are getting out. I don't know. Some things are happening. Movers, shakers. Anyway, let's go to CBS News. Tricia McLaughlin, top Homeland Security spokeswoman, leaving her post. Tricia McLaughlin, the Department of Homeland Security's top spokeswoman, is leaving her post next week. As the chief spokesperson of the federal agency spearheading President Trump's mass deportation campaign, McLaughlin has been prolific on social media and in the press defending the Trump administration's immigration policies. McLaughlin confirmed her exit in a statement and said current DHS spokesperson Lauren Biese will take over her role as the agency's Assistant Secretary for Public Affairs. McLaughlin added that Katie Zachariah, a commentator who has appeared on Fox News, will be brought onto DHS's communication team as Deputy Assistant Secretary. A source familiar with McLaughlin's plans said her departure was planned in December and that she delayed it following the fatal shooting of 2 U.S. Citizens in Minneapolis by federal immigration officers, which we've talked about before. There's some more details here we could go through, but I mean, nothing that at this point is shedding light onto why she's leaving. Maybe she's saying, hey, I'm going to get out while the getting is good. Because things are fucking crazy right now, and DHS kind of looks like a sinking ship, and someone's got to go, and maybe kind of might as well be you. So that's another angle too. Maybe this is a bit of a pinch out or force out because things are not looking well. But that's speculation. I don't know. I also think that this could easily be McLaughlin just saying, hey, I don't want to be here in this position, but like put me somewhere else, coach. I think this is someone who is earning her keep with Donald Trump, and I don't think she's leaving in bad standing or bad favor per se. So I don't know. I even tried to do a little bit of skimming and looking around, but I think I'm just going to have to wait for some kind of, gumshoe reporter who's really been on this and has like a focus on it. And maybe they'll yap on a podcast with someone. That would be great. I'd love that. But yeah, at this point, I just don't have, any inner machinations on what's going on there. But I do want to shift the spotlight to, our favorite dog assassin, Kristi Noem. We're back on her. This is a good chunk of reading, so I'm gonna take a little bit of a water break. Gotta hydrate. I will say though, I am happy to see McLaughlin leave this position. I'm happy to see these people all potentially lose their jobs or whatever. But really, when we look at it, I think Mike Walls is the only guy who caught heat enough to like quote unquote lose their job or step down. But they're like in another position. They just kind of got regulated, like they're an ambassador or some shit. So, like I said, we don't know if that's McLaughlin's future or maybe she just wants to just kind of be off of this shit because it's looking lame. I don't know, but we'll see. Anyway, let's get on to Noem. From NBC News, Noem's use of Coast Guard resources strains her relationship with the military branch, sources say. Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem's relationship with U.S. Coast Guard officials has become strained throughout her first year leading the department, according to two U.S. officials, a Coast Guard official and a former Coast Guard official. The tensions between Noem and the only branch of the U.S. military overseen by DHS stem from early decisions she made that rankled Coast Guard officials, including a verbal directive to shift Coast Guard resources from a search and rescue mission to find a missing service member, sources said. Noem's leadership at DHS has created a specific split in the Coast Guard. Many rank-and-file members are motivated by her approach, in which she showcases their work by joining them on operations and visiting their ships. Some more senior officials, however, see that approach as taking away from the Coast Guard's traditional missions. Also, you don't need this Coast Guard Barbie bullshit that she's fucking doing. It is a waste of your time. It is a waste of taxpayers' resources in some way, shape, or form. It's just fucking gotta be. I'm sorry. What the hell? Like, you don't need to be doing all this pomp and circumstance bullshit. And I actually do know. We're gonna get into it. Like, it explains a little bit more in the article. She's not just putting on a little fucking costume and doing... Like, she's actually using taxpayers' money for things that we don't need so that she can jet set a fucking round. Hey, the dynamic with more senior officials has only worsened in recent months, as Noem oversaw a tenfold increase in the use of the Coast Guard's aircraft for immigrant deportations, which has strained its limited resources, these sources say. The increase was captured in data compiled by ICE Flight Monitor, a nonprofit group that tracks deportation flights. So essentially, there is an added emphasis. There is a top priority on making sure that these flights get these deportations happening. Like, it is paramount to anything, apparently. It puts so much stress on the wing, the Coast Guard official said, referring to the branch's aviation units. Noem's focus on meeting the Trump administration's deportation quotas appears poised to further impact Coast Guard operations in coming months, according to new guidance recently issued to Coast Guard Air Station Sacramento this year. Based on DHS priorities, the air station, which is among those responsible for the majority of deportation flights, has designated its first priority to be the transport of detained immigrants on its C-27 aircraft within the U.S., according to multiple U.S. officials familiar with the orders. The new orders move search and rescue operations, which have long been the Coast Guard's core mission, it makes sense. We should save people. Like, that's a good thing to do, to a lower priority. The officials familiar with the order said. They said counter-narcotics efforts and Coast Guard training are prioritized above search. Dude, it's just like we would rather do drug busts. We would just rather catch criminals than save people. I'm sorry, man. That's tally work. You are not changing the world with that shit. You could save someone's life, though. I don't know, man. And it's so crazy to me, as I know there's motherfuckers in my tri-state area who agree with this shit. There are people all across this fucking quote-unquote great nation who agree with that kind of logic. Like, I mean, hey, what's one body when we're actually really making America better? Like, don't you think? Just why don't you think about it that way? It's like, dude, I hope you go missing. Like, I can't say that shit, but it's like, what the fuck is wrong with you? You're giving up a piece of your humanity on that shit to me. I don't get it. I just don't get it, man. Whatever. Do what you want. I don't know. Anyway, I'm sorry. I'm just in the weeds. The dissonance between Noam's priorities and senior Coast Guard officials is a lesser known part of the fallout from President Donald Trump's mass deportation policy and is largely playing out behind the scenes. Coast Guard officials have privately raised concerns with one another and confided in former officials about some of Noam's directives and use of Coast Guard resources to service her and the administration's priorities, the current and former Coast Guard officials said. Someone also, I can't remember where I heard this, but like, it's worth noting that there are so many people talking specifically about Kristi Noem. Like, obviously it's off the record, or they're like, hey, don't mention my name or whatever. But like, the fact that so many people are willing to chatter about this shit is very telling, because that's not across the board. Like, you have it a little bit here and there with the Pete Hegseth or whatever. I mean, I honestly not too much about Pam Bondi, but definitely something. There's shit everywhere, you know what I mean? But the fact of the matter is, people are squawking very loudly when it comes to Kristi Noem, because she just keeps ruffling so many people's feathers to quote unquote get her job done. And also, she's just bafflingly bad at it, like in every front. We've talked about it not just in the Coast Guard sense, we've talked about it in just how she's handled fucking ICE raids and shit like that across the fucking country. So much so that Tom Homan, they had to get him involved so that he could kind of regulate this shit and downplay, smooth this shit out. That's not how it was supposed to go. But a person like fucking Kristi Noem, Greg Bovino, they get off on this shit. And when you have someone like Donald Trump as your son, like as your guiding light and force, you can't lose. So you just have to please him. You just have to do what he wants, and you just put the fucking pedal to the metal and do it. At times, the tensions have escalated into confrontation. Oh, I'm sorry. I just kind of dropped right in the middle here. Where was I supposed to come in at? Actually, I think we'll just drop in right there. Why not? At times, the tensions have escalated into confrontations, the sources said. And one contentious incident in May, Noem's top advisor, Corey Lewandowski, berated Coast Guard flight staff and threatened to fire them for taking off without one of the secretary's personal items on board, a heated blanket, according to the current and former Coast Guard officials. There's a general atmosphere of keep your head down, you don't want to be on the firing line, the former Coast Guard official said. Now, I kind of just for the sake of time, I want to yada in this. There was a situation where Noem verbally says to an acting commander, pull off of the search and rescue mission to save like one of your own, because we need to get these planes back to do some immigration deportation shit. Like, we need that now, and that's going to take priority. Now, I believe that there was other planes that were in service of it. More hours were put in, obviously, before and after this incident. They weren't able to find the person. But that being said, if you're one of those people on that plane, do you want to be pulled off of this shit to do Donald Trump's fucking work when your job is saving people, right? That's kind of the fucking reason you're putting on the damn uniform, at least so I fucking thought, right? I thought that's the best way to serve the country. I don't know, maybe not. But yeah, so they had to do that. And I think, once again, that's something that's like, yeah, people don't like that. When they have to do that, when they see that happening, they go, oh, yeah, fuck this motherfucker, dude. And then you have the situation with the blanket. And so much so that the Lewandowski guy or whatever, essentially the pilot's like, hey, I'm not turning back for this. And he's like, well, then you're going to be you're fired, bud. And he's like, okay, dude, you can fire me, but I have to drop the plane right now. I have to land the plane, and then you have to get someone else out here to fly it. And he goes, okay, fine. Yeah, whatever. You can stay on. And then, finishes the flight. He retires. He's relieved of duty. He retires. He's done. And I completely get that, dude. Like, what the fuck, man? Like, your job is a joke now. Am I wrong? Do you really think this is what you were supposed to be put on for, bro? I would feel terrible doing this shit. I don't know, man. But you wouldn't get me in that fucking situation to begin with, so I couldn't be me. But whatever, man. I'm never going to pass up an opportunity to talk shit about these motherfuckers. I really thought that Kristi Noem would have been out of here sooner. But I think we've talked about this before. If you are pleasing Donald Trump, then you're gonna keep your job. There's not gonna be any problems. It turns out, I think Kristi Noem is in a better position than a Tulsi Gabbard in this whole pecking order hierarchy thing, because Tulsi Gabbard does not do enough, quote unquote, I think, to please Donald Trump, and like that's why she's left out in the cold in the conversations. She's not in the rooms that she's supposed to be in, so that's why she's got to go above and beyond and like make sure that the elections are getting fixed or whatever the fuck she's up to, man. Dude, I also love too that you have someone like Kristi Noem, you have someone like Tulsi Gabbard, both on the record, I believe, saying shit like, no, I do have a reason to be involved in the election process for some reason, somehow. Insert blah, blah, blah here. No, the fuck you don't. But it makes that shit all the more scary when we go to talk about the midterms, when we go to talk about the next election come 2028, man. I don't know, man. Motherfucker might be right. We might not have another election. I don't fucking know. We'll see. I think that's being hyperbolic. I think that's being a little bit extra, of course. Of course. But it's just crazy. And kind of before we get to our last part here, the levels that they are trying to take about this nationalizing the election process is so frustrating. Like, the idea that they are potentially going to have to have your ID with a birth certificate to vote. Both of them. If you don't have it, then you have to go back and get that shit. And not to mention, for some people, it's very hard to do that. I had to struggle a fuck ton to get my shit together. Man, like, that's annoying as hell. And you're telling me my fucking real ID might not be enough? Like, that's annoying as fuck. Also, for mail-in, you're going to have a photocopy of those things. Like your ID or something like that. It's like, once again, you're going to make me go to a library or Kinko's or whatever because I don't have a fucking printer. Like, they are doing this shit on purpose, and they're saying they're doing it because they want a clean, fair election. And once again, there are people who will buy that shit. Hook, line, and fucking sinker. Get the fuck out of here. You know what they're trying to do. They might as well get out a jar of jelly beans and tell you to fucking count that shit. Tomatoes. Anyway, I'm moving on. We have one more thing to cover. Y'all know I don't like being in an obituary zone. I don't like, but sometimes you got to. And this is an important person, especially in the civil rights movement. So there's no way I was not going to not cover this. So, from NBC News, Reverend Jesse Jackson, a civil rights icon, dies at 84. Now, I don't know if Reverend Jesse Jackson will want me, giving him a send-off like this, but we are going to take our last break because that's just how this shit go. So, oh, golly. Oh. The Reverend Jesse Jackson, the Baptist minister and two-time presidential candidate, whose booming oratory and populist message propelled the civil rights movement in the decades after the assassination of the Reverend Martin Luther King Jr., died Tuesday, his family said. He was 84. Our father was a servant leader, not only to our family, but to the oppressed, the voiceless, and the overlooked around the world, the Jackson family said in a statement. The Reverend Al Sharpton, the civil rights leader, said in a statement that our nation lost one of its greatest moral voices and paid tribute to the man who carried history in his footsteps and hope in his voice. Reverend Jackson stood wherever dignity was under attack, from apartheid abroad to injustice at home. His voice echoed in boardrooms and in jail cells, Sharpton said. The cause of death was not immediately given. Jackson's family said he died peacefully surrounded by his loved ones. He was admitted to a hospital in November and had been living for more than a decade with progressive supranuclear palsy, or PSP, according to his Rainbow Push Coalition. PSP affects patients' ability to walk and swallow and can lead to dangerous complications. Now, there's some more details about his condition, obviously about his life, about his triumphs, and, some tribulations as well. I felt like the thing I wanted to say is that Reverend Jesse Jackson was a man like Martin Luther King. I mean, they were walking in the same kind of beat. I think a person like Reverend Jesse Jackson, like they both inspired each other. They both, played off each other in very positive ways. But they were big. They were big in the movement. I think if I don't see people like them growing up, I don't wind up here in a way. It's a part of it. It just is for me. There's no way it's not, right? And I would just be remiss to not, I don't want to say harm. I'm not doing anything like Reverend Jesse Jackson in no way, shape, or form. But like just the inspiration and knowing that like, no, you should always speak up. You should always say something, do something, that's important. So yeah, definitely he's going to be missed. Definitely did a lot. And, the world is better for having him and worse for losing him. I think that might be the best way to close it out there on that part. So yeah, I think that is where I want to leave it off for today. Feels like a good place where we close out this episode. If you would like to help out, support the effort, I do have a Patreon. Patreon.com/IsaiahNews. Become a newsie today. Free ways to hit me up, IsaiahNews1@gmail.com. Feel free to follow me or the podcast on any of the socials. Subscribe to the YouTube. Follow on TikTok. Follow on Spotify. Follow wherever you like to listen. Whatever. Leave a like. Leave a cool comment. Sharing is caring. 5 stars on Spotify. 5 stars on Apple Podcasts are always appreciated. But if you don't do that, that's a-okay. I just appreciate you hanging out with me for today. Thanks so much for tuning in. Thanks so much for being a friend. And hopefully I'll see you soon for some more good news. I love ya. Bye-bye. Mwah.